Welcome to another episode of the Daily Chat Podcast, where we talk about all things awesome and nerdy. Ladies and gentlemen, returning as per usual is my cohort in crime, the one and only Dan Tundis.
What's up?
Yo, everybody. So, guys, we're going to be doing a review. This one's going to be a little different than the ones we normally do. We're going to be reviewing the newest Netflix television cartoon known as Disenchantment.
Which came out today.
Which came out today, indeed.
And we spent the whole afternoon drinking Budweiser and eating Butterfingers because that's the Matt Grogan way you...
Is it Grogan or Graining? I always thought it was Graining.
I thought it was Grogan. Groening? Grogan? Whatever.
Matt G.
Matt G.
Matt G. The Simpsons guy.
We drank a lot of Budweiser.
And by the way, this is not a plug for Budweiser. Because,
but,
I mean, Budweiser, if you want to sponsor us...
I would not say no.
I would not say no at all.
It is the king of beers.
It is the king of beers, and it's quite cool and refreshing.
Tink.
Sponsor me, Budweiser! I'll even be sponsored by Busch Light.
Red Dog.
Red Dog. Do they even still make Red Dog?
I don't think so.
No, I
don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first beer I ever had.
Yeah,
that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, right? At any rate, part of the reason we're doing this is because Dan and I, we have both grown up. We're both children of the 90s, and one of the most important aspects of being a 90s kid is also loving The Simpsons, I would say.
Right, obviously.
So you and I, we're both big Matt Groening fans, love The Simpsons, love Futurama.
Yep.
So that's kind of why we're trying to tackle this one. And when I say trying, I mean... We got through the first 3 episodes.
Well, yeah, we watched the first 3 episodes, and the first episode is a little longer at 36 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 are 28 each, and I think the rest of them are all 28. So it starts to follow the normal kind of story structure.
Yeah, roughly 30 minutes kind of.
Yeah, thing. I mean, like, Futurama episodes are really like 22, 23 minutes. Simpsons are like 22, 23
Yeah,
minutes.
but they had to make room for the commercials, though.
Yeah, which is actually something that I wanted to talk about, and we could talk about it later in the podcast, is like one of the things that I don't think I like about Disenchantment. Also, the name is weird because I keep wanting to call it Disenchanted, but it's Disenchantment. And
right.
That kind of. All right. So if you haven't gotten an opportunity to view the show yet or see any of the trailers, it's pretty much just
spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course. It's on Netflix. You can watch the whole thing. Yeah. So it's a big fantasy. Dungeons and Dragons, The Hobbit.
They said it best in the commercials. Matt Groening tackled the future with Futurama, the present with The Simpsons, and now they went in the most obvious direction for his 3rd series. The past.
Well, fantasy, but fantasy past. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Medieval kingdom with elves and orcs and giants. And
this is just basically, Futurama meets Game of Thrones, pretty much, or Lord of the Rings, whatever.
This is all of the dirty jokes they came up with while playing Dungeons and Dragons in their youth.
Pretty much, yeah. Everything looks like it's Matt Groening. Nobody has a chin and everybody's got an overbite.
But everybody has 5 fingers.
Except for Elfo.
Yeah, it's true. Alpha only has 3 fingers and a thumb, so 4.
4
fingers as a thumb.
I always count.
Okay, so they have 4 fingers and a thumb. To clarify,
okay,
the thumb is not a finger.
You sure about that?
Yeah, no, the thumb is not a finger. You want to look it up?
I gotta look this up.
Go ahead, look it up.
Anyway, keep talking about.
No, I learned this before I dropped out of medical school.
Okay.
I'll go back and finish.
Is the thumb a finger?
I'll finish one day.
It's therefore more accurate to describe a thumb as a one of 5 digits that we have on each hand rather than as a finger. Digit is the technical term which covers fingers, thumbs, and toes in humans and similar appendages in some animals. The thumb is a short, thick first digit of the human hand.
I'll go back and finish medical school one day. I've literally got Grey's Anatomy here on my coffee table.
Okay.
Anyways, it's a fantasy show.
Okay.
There's dragons, assumably. Actually, we haven't seen a dragon yet.
There's got to be a
There's
dragon.
There's got to be dragons.
They've had everything else. There's got to be a dragon.
There has to be dragons. But, I mean, lots of familiar voice actors, from past shows and some new ones that are kind of folded into the whole Simpsons verse.
It's not a universe. I don't think it's a Simpsons verse, but they had the crossover episode.
I mean,
with the Futurama.
Then, like, one would assume that
Actually, no, they do exist in the same universe because there was one episode where, but it was a weird thing because there was one episode of Futurama, early episode of Futurama, where they find the pile of Bart Simpson dolls.
Right.
And then there's a later episode of The Simpsons where Matt Groening actually guest stars, and he's credited. He's able to guest star as himself because he is the quote creator of Futurama.
But Bender is also in the window of the comic book guy. His store.
Is it Bender? I always thought it was something else. It was just
pretty much Bender.
It just was a generic looking robot. I always thought
it's pretty much Bender. But yeah, I mean the return of John DiMaggio, which is awesome.
I was John DiMaggio is one of my favorite voice actors.
Billy West, and now we've got
Abby Jacobson as the lead actress as being she's most known for her work in Broad City, which is a great show, by the way.
Oh yeah, that is Abby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I fucking love Broad City.
Yeah.
Broad City's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I just recently watched the episode where it was one whole episode was just nothing but fish references.
Oh yeah.
Not good episode, but not what I was expecting when people told me about that episode. I thought the fish references were going to be a little bit more sly and like under the radar.
Yeah.
No, they were like in your face, just like, hey, this is a fish lyric.
I really like Eric Andre as Lucy.
Yeah,
Demon.
Lucy the Demon. Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. So this
He's
is
just the id of the show.
That he is the id of the show. He's the Bender for those who are not fully getting what I'm saying.
Worse than Bender.
Is he really?
We'll see.
I mean, I think he's on par.
It's too early to tell.
It's too early to tell.
Bender's got 8 whole seasons on.
True.
On Lucy right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but so that's just an interesting thing. Who's the other character? Elfo, played by Nate Faxon, who I'm not too familiar with his work, but he's doing a great job so far from what I can tell. So the interesting dichotomy about this actually is...
He was one of the guys from Super Troopers.
Oh, okay. Was he really?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. He was also in Beer Fest, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh, so he's one of the...
they're all the same thing.
He's one of the... Yeah, so he's one of the Broken Lizard guys. Or one of the guys Broken Lizard turns to hires. Yeah, frequently. Good for him. And I mean that.
Pretty much the setup is that Abby Jacobson is Bean, who's the princess of the kingdom. What is it? Happy Land?
Dreamland or something
Dream
like that.
Fantasy?
Just something generic.
It sounds like a Prince album.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the point.
Right.
She's the princess. She doesn't want to get married. She opens up like a very Hellraiser-esque puzzle box.
This is very much just... In other words, for those... The quick summation actually is... This is just the movie Brave with more dick jokes.
I have not seen the movie Brave.
Same plot.
But I am aware of...
Rebellious princess, doesn't want to be forced into marriage, wants to live her own life. That kind of a thing.
Okay, yeah. That's the elevator pitch. And then, and then she finds a demon, Lucy, who tells her to do bad things. But then she also finds a sweet elf, named Elfo, who tells her to do nice things. Okay.
Now, before we get too deep into this, first off, there's the obvious fact that Elfo's supposed to be the demon on her shoulder. I mean, Elfo's the angel on her shoulder. Lucy's the demon on her shoulder.
Yeah, it's pretty transparent.
Yeah, it was incredibly transparent. But the big thing... Here's the thing, though, that I raised a couple questions about Elfo. Number one, why is he the only elf that's green? I hope we get an answer to that.
Jaundice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the Simpsons have...
Scurvy.
No, was it scurvy? I thought it was something else. They made fun of it in Family Guy, but we'll go with scurvy.
Yeah, for now. I think jaundice is actually the liver disease, and I don't know what turns you green.
Whatever. Either way, the point is, why is Elfo the only, like, green elf? The rest of them are all, like, Caucasian looking. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yeah. So, all the other elves have names that match their personalities, a la, the Smurfs. You got Brainy...
Kissy.
Yeah, you got Kisso, Braino, like Creepo, Weirdo, Taco. Yeah. Why is he called Elfo? Like he just have like no special traits whatsoever, no discernible.
I think that's kind of the point. He has like no special discernible traits. Like
okay.
Everybody else has like their lot in life, and his whole like character motivation is that like he doesn't have a lot in life. Like he's very much unhappy with being an elf. So it kind of makes sense that he's just like Elfo.
Yeah, fair enough.
But like not Elmo, because Elmo was his home.
Because he lived in an elm.
Right. So dumb.
So this show is completely and utterly filled with not just the same kind of animation you expect from Matt Groening and any team he hires, namely nobody has a chin, everybody has an overbite.
Right.
Yeah, which is the most signature thing of Matt Groening.
The animation's great.
It's great.
They did like some really nice like 3D camera moves like in the first episode, which I thought was like nice and impressive.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I think is really kind of creative and very fun is that Lucy is very much like feels very much like a 2D character. I understand this is a cartoon in a 3D world.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's a 1D character in a 2D world. No, then he would just be a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
But like he's out of
too many math jokes.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's out of a different dimension, and like they do a really good job.
Oh yeah,
Lucy. Yeah,
yeah. How he kind of he's kind of like Mr. Game & Watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just and it's kind of fun how they always kind of play on that, and like they are very careful with the camera angles that they show all of the main characters in, so that way they never like break that. That way you never see him like from the front because you can only ever see him from the side.
Right.
Which I think is just one of those like little extra flourishments that adds just like a really nice touch where I've noticed it and picked up on it a couple of times, but I don't feel like it's distracting from the overall story. I'm kind of a big fan of that. Like it's a little minor detail that I'm just kind of a big fan of. That I'm like, wow, that was a really cute and creative concept that like God bless them, they stuck with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, excuse me. Oh,
that's the Budweiser.
There's nothing better than a good Budweiser burp. This burp brought to you by Budweiser.
King of beers.
Not sponsoring this podcast.
No.
Yet.
I
think I'm just going to censor every time we say Budweiser.
You should.
I'm going to hire you to do that, by the way, because I'm too lazy.
I can do that.
And nah, I'm too cheap.
Also fair. So, I mean, overall impressions, like, I like what I've seen thus far. I've got some issues.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like, I like it. I think it's fun. I love the fact that it's on Netflix and I can binge the first 10 episodes.
Right.
Which also means that I'm going to watch all 10 episodes in the next 24 to 36 hours and then forget what happens and then in a year come back and watch the next season and be like, what the fuck?
Right, exactly.
Because that's what happens with every Netflix show.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of why I'm rewatching Daredevil right now.
Right.
So, because I don't remember anything that happened in the first 2 seasons of Daredevil besides that guy taking a spike to his eye.
That's what everyone remembers. I seriously, whenever anyone talks about it, it's like, I've never seen Daredevil. That's the first thing that pops in my head is that guy just like headbutting a fucking rusty spike.
Yeah, honestly, I've told many I met one person who said, man, I tried watching Daredevil, but the first episode and a half, I just stopped. I looked at him and said, give it till the very end of episode 3. The very end. 1 week later, I see a message on my Facebook. You were right, motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, no kidding.
Hallway fights, yo.
Hallway fights forever. But we're not here to talk about Daredevil.
No.
Today. Definitely. This is kind of an odd thing for me to say, but I'm kind of getting, from this show, for the most part, I'm kind of getting the style of humor I was wholeheartedly expecting. Matt Groening is a master and a big fan of using good old-fashioned misdirection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels like more adult-leaning in context and subject matter because they're on Netflix and they can say and do anything within reason. It feels more adult than The Simpsons ever felt. And like even a little bit more than like Futurama got away with.
That, again, going with the fact that both Futurama and The Simpsons were both on Fox, this show is airing on Netflix, so they can, they have much more room to wiggle with.
Yeah, I mean, like, the sexual jokes and double entendres are, like,
they're pretty in your face.
Really heavy.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, you could say, like, definitely The Simpsons and Futurama, like, have them. Probably Futurama more than The Simpsons. Definitely Futurama more than The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. But, like, this one is very much, like, there was a hooker fairy in the first like 10 minutes of the first episode.
Right.
And it was like pretty clear that she was like
a hooker.
Oh yeah, she was turning tricks.
Yeah. It's like, I used to do tricks, but I had a friend who used to work at the mountain. Like, gee, I wonder what she did for work. Like,
right. Yeah. Like it's pretty
And
good.
Lucy even looking at Elfo saying like, oh, he just thinks, or looking at her in regards to Elfo saying, oh yeah, he just thinks you're really friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Elfo, like, does the you know, kind of...
punching bag.
The punching bag with a set of dude's testicles under a kilt.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Like, so, you know, It's there.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had one character banging a bunch of walruses.
Yeah, that was kind of what? Yeah.
So I feel like it's easier for me in podcasts to kind of go over the things that like I didn't necessarily like, and there was a couple of things that like stuck out to me that I didn't like. So
and bear in mind, we haven't finished the series yet.
No, this is just my impression off of the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was a couple little things off of the first 3 episodes. So I was always under the impression that like the first episode or first half of the episode, we would see like inside of the kingdom, and then like she's getting married, she doesn't want to get married, she like runs away, she makes some magical friends, and then they're like off on their adventures. And that was like a setup that I was like all like ready for. I mean, that's just kind of like a classic like storytelling video game cartoon like setup. Like princess wants to get married, doesn't want to get married, runs away from home, adventure begins.
Right.
And that's what I thought I was getting into, and I was cool with that. But then like she gets captured and goes back to the castle, and now it feels like they're kind of like wrapping us into this kingdom as like the home base, you know? Like this is you know, Evergreen Terrace. This is you know the
Planet Express.
This is the Planet Express. You know what I mean? Like this
Planet
is
Express
where,
office building.
Yeah, this is like where our stories are going to be told out of, and I'm kind of not for that.
You were hoping there'd be more world hopping.
Yeah, I was a little bit more into the world building and see what else we could do, because I think Futurama did a really nice job of that. I mean, The Simpsons is always like super terrestrial, right? Like it takes place in Springfield.
Yeah, but like
there are episodes where they go out, you see, you know, more of the world, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But like Futurama was always like, we're going to different places and spaces, and
because they had more. Yeah, again, because like The Simpsons was, and I'm using this term very loosely here, grounded in our reality.
Right. And it's one of the reasons why I personally like Futurama more, because I felt like in that genre of like science fiction and we have a rocket ship, we can do anything, you had a greater variety of stories.
Right.
Where like The Simpsons, like especially now, but you know, over the last
25 years?
I was going to say 15 to be conservative, but sure. Has gotten to like, okay, now Homer meets another president and goes on another, you know, mission to space, but only like low orbit space.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just recently did an episode of The Simpsons where they were able to reference the now famous scene where he eats the potato chips and crashes into the ant farm.
Right.
Yeah, they pretty much did that scene all over again, but they did it with Maggie.
It's one of the reasons why I liked Futurama, was because like it felt like we had this great big world that we could set out to explore, or great big universe.
Yeah, it was more of a universe.
And that was the thing that I was kind of excited for Disenchantment, was that like, all right, cool, like I really want to see what this creative team can do with like a great big open world. And out of the first 3 episodes, like it's felt very contained thus far. So I'm just hoping that in the future we're breaking out of that world. Like I could give a shit less what happens inside of the castle in the kingdom of Happy Tale Storyland Fantasy Village. Whatever. I don't care. Like, I don't care about the king, Bean's dad.
Well, he's funny though.
Yeah, he's funny, but I don't give a shit about him as a character.
You
know, like I feel like there's better characters we could introduce. Like, he's very one note. He's like, I'm the evil, overbearing dad.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like how many characters has Matt Groening in general created like that? I mean,
how many characters has he created? 1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm talking like, think of it this way: Mr. Burns has always been kind of a one-note character.
Yeah, no, I know, I get that.
Yeah. I mean, hell, even to an extent, even you could argue Professor Farnsworth is a one-note character.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. But he always brought the good news, everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it was always the good news, everyone, and then you're off to an adventure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're like, this feels like it's funny. It feels like bottle episodes inside of the kingdom.
Right.
Which I know is weird, because bottle episodes are usually that phrase is used for like when like an episode is happening inside of like one singular room, right? Or like an elevator. That's usually how like you work. But I feel very much like I'm like, I want to see outside of the castle. Like,
okay, fair enough.
Bring me outside.
Fair enough. And like anytime we do see outside the castle, all we just see is like, oh look, a couple trees and a dirt road.
Yeah, but I mean that's where I thought we got some of the funniest like moments of this show thus far. It's like we got to see the Washmaster, who they thought was the Wishmaster.
Right.
But no, everyone just seeks him out because of the way he washes their clothes. And like, yeah, we got to see the fairy, and then we had like that like exorcist demon guy in the 3rd episode.
Well, he was mostly in the castle though.
He was, but when they like broke out to the volcano, like that was like a really fun kind of moment. you know.
Yeah.
But like the stuff inside of the castle, I'm kind of like, meh.
Meh.
It's like one of my least favorite Futurama like 3-part episodes was Bender's Big Score.
Wasn't that the TV movie?
It was a TV movie.
What happens in that one again? Just jog my memory.
It's the one where Bender keeps going back in time to steal things from the Fliblonians.
Oh, okay.
For the Fliblonians.
Okay, yeah.
But that one like felt so much like a bottle episode where they were like all inside of the Planet Express, whatever.
Yeah.
But then like some of the other ones that I really loved were like Into the Wild Green Yonder, where they have like that alien appendage like thing that takes over everyone's bodies. And like you get to like explore the greater universe.
Right.
That was one that I really liked, but I don't know. This is just my point.
Okay. Fair enough. I personally have been really enjoying it. As always, this one doesn't feel as satirical, because this is the one thing I actually liked about The Simpsons over Futurama, and it's not to say that Futurama never had any satire whatsoever. It had plenty of it. It's just I felt like, particularly when The Simpsons was at its peak, it had probably some of the best satire television had to offer. And then South Park came.
Fair.
Yeah. But this one seems to just be just relying more on just basic, broader strokes of humor, I feel, which is fine.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's not that there hasn't been any satire whatsoever, but I mean, it just seems to be more along the lines of, hey, let's do some slapstick, and let's do some misdirection, and then let's have Elfo do something really evil, but somehow make it hilarious. So that's just my take on it. So
yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get any of that contemporary satire. I mean, I'm sure it'll work in. If it works in organically, great. I hope that they don't. I mean, there's been like some couple of really punny. What was the Poison Shop?
Oh yeah, it's so poisonous you can't even touch it in a bottle.
No, but what was the name of it?
Oh, right. The name of it was what's the name of that poison that begins with an S?
It was Little Seizures.
Little Seizures, that's right.
But
Little
Seizures spelled like seizures, not Caesar. Like,
yeah, seizures. Yeah.
Yeah, Little Seizures.
It's Poison Shop.
And it had a picture of a guy with a syringe going, poison.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, so like there's been like little things like that I think are.
Or there was like
nice.
the convenience store. Well,
it was 7-Eleven.
But
founded 7-Eleven.
Open
Yeah,
since
but it was
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven written in Roman numerals.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
it took me a minute to figure that out. I was like, why does that look? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because you're like VIIIX. Wait, what?
XI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take you a second to figure it out. But
Yeah.
no, I mean it's good so far. You know, it was a very kind of like weird thing that I'm having a hard time adjusting to, like, given this creative team and this new format, is not having commercial breaks.
Okay.
I don't like commercials. That's a given.
Right.
Nobody does. But, like, it gave a really good sense of pacing for where you were in the story when you hit commercial breaks. Like, even if you just watch Futurama, like, with... like on DVD or on Hulu or Netflix or however it is that you watch it commercial free, like there are moments that like comedy is heightened because of a sudden stop.
Right.
And it doesn't have that on Netflix because it just goes. You know? Like it's like that the whole like the men will be sentenced to death by Snoo. And then like they all just kind of like look at each other and then like
they don't know how to
like,
react.
It smiles and frowns and smiles and frowns and smiles and frowns and then it like cuts to black and then like you can come back to that scene in like you know just a second and it gives your brain just a second to kind of process the humor in that.
Right.
You know, and there was like that moment where you kind of get that reprieve between you go back into that world and you can kind of think about it and go like, oh, that's funny. Like,
I get what you're saying.
You know, so it's fun thing from like this format that I feel like we're not like there aren't like hard scene breaks. I'm not asking Netflix to give me commercials. That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, don't do that, Netflix.
It's not.
Don't you dare ruin your business model that's been succeeding you for the last 15 years.
It feels like it's something that they're having like a hard time like reconciling. It feels like every episode is like a sprint. You know, like even though they're 28 minutes each, it feels like once we go, like we're just gonna keep it weird and funny the whole friggin' way through, and we're just not gonna stop until the credits roll at the end. And it's like, okay, guys, like take a breath.
It's very Mel Brooksian.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is. It's just it's like it's on and it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and by that I also meant by calling it Mel Brooksian. It's just it really, this one more than the other two has just made me suddenly realized how both Matt Groening or how do you pronounce it? Groening?
I always thought it was groaning.
I always thought it was Groening. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is Matt G. That's what we're calling him. And Mel Brooks are just big on the whole format of throw everything at a wall and see what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they'll find something funny.
Yeah.
And then they'll, like, repeat it and keep working it in. You know, like, they'll find a way to, like, you know, it's like the dude with the sword through his head.
Yeah.
That's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, except for the time you killed a guy. And they're like...
Because it was like, no, I'm not dead.
The camera cut back to him. He's like, not dead, just in a lot of pain. And the camera cut back, and it's like, that's hysterical. Like,
yeah.
Like, they'll find a rhythm to this show eventually, like, I'm sure. And, like, after the first 3 episodes, I feel like I need to watch the rest of the season to give it, like, a proper, like, rating at the end of it. But, like, right now, I see really good things. I see things that I'm, like, I'm personally getting used to.
Yeah.
Like, not that it's, like, good or bad. It's that, like, from this creative team in this format, I'm, like, I'm used to, you know, a little more pacing here and a little bit shorter of episodes. Like, having an extra 8 minutes of animation, like, per episode is a lot.
Yeah,
like,
that is a lot.
I mean, literally, if you're going off a 3-act structure, that's literally adding an act onto the episode, which they kind of do.
Or at the very least, adding 2 minutes to each other act.
Right. Well, yeah.
If we want to be all mathy about this,
we're getting all mathy about stuff anyways. Like we're talking about Roman numerals and stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Let's break it down. Get out the whiteboard.
Bunch of Harvard nerds.
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 But I think but like they kind of do that already. Like they kind of already have like their 3-act structure like set up and the story that they're going to tell. But then before every episode, they throw in like a bonus scene where it's like. Elfo, Lucy, and Bean are like out getting like sauced, and they steal a carriage, and then like they kill a woman by accident, and then like they cut to you know whatever the title of the episode is, and then they come back, and then like they make a joke about it, but then they start like the real story.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the first like scene, the first like 6 or 7 minutes of the episode doesn't really like matter.
I mean, that's kind of always been everyone's number one complaint about The Simpsons in general. I feel like that's kind of another one of Matt Groening's tropes.
Which is?
A number one complaint people had about have always had about The Simpsons is that it always feels that the first 5 to 7 minutes have nothing to do with the rest of the plot.
Oh. Yeah,
in fact, do you remember the episode, there was an episode of The Simpsons, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was like 10 Tales of Springfield or something like that, where it just bounces between a day in the life of different people in Springfield.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, the one where Lisa gets bubblegum stuck in her hair. And then, you know, Mr. Burns, like...
Yeah.
And yeah, that episode was purposefully created as just kind of like a middle finger for saying, you don't like the first 5 minutes of a Simpsons episode? Well, guess what? We're going to give you an entire episode of the first 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that Simpsons always did was, like, the parallel storylines.
Yeah.
Where they had, like, a Bart and Lisa storyline and a Homer and Marge storyline, and at some point they converge.
Yeah.
Or they do, like, a Homer storyline and a Bart storyline, at some point they converge. Like,
yeah.
They always kind of ran, like, the parallel, like, storylines at some point, you know, during, like, that's, I mean, kind of almost how they've always done it. Like, they don't usually do... I mean, I haven't watched... no, I still watch, like, Simpsons pretty regularly, even, like, the current episodes. Like, I
haven't watched a current episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, I do. I don't enjoy it like I used to. It's usually just, like, on, you know, it's, like, one of those, like, I watch Bob's Burgers, and then, like, the new Family Guy comes on, and then the new Simpsons comes on, and it's like, well, I'm already here. I pretty much already feel that way, like, by the time the new Family Guy comes on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, after I watch Bob's Burgers, I'm like,
I mean,
well,
Bob's Burgers still going strong, in my opinion.
Bob's Burgers is still going strong. Family Guy and The Simpsons, I totally understand why Family Guy is still going on. But The Simpsons, I don't know why that's still going on.
I feel like The Simpsons should have ended, like, 15 years ago.
I mean, Family Guy should have ended a few years ago, too. And it's not to say that I don't love these shows for, like, what they are, but I also believe in, like, too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like chocolate cake.
Exactly.
Like
or bacon.
Right. You eat too much chocolate cake, you're going to get fat. You eat too much bacon, you're going to have a fucking heart attack and die.
Exactly.
And that's life.
Exactly.
That's too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's why no one ever says you can't have too much lettuce. It's not a good thing.
No, it's not. In fact, it's not even.
Right.
It's not even a decent thing.
No.
No. Or kale.
Oh God, it's like lettuce in plastic. Fucked. It
Uh,
had a child. But neither one of them wanted to raise.
and the child's just like, kill me.
Yeah, that child just got dropped off at a Whole Foods in a basket with a boat. That's
shit.
kale.
Yeah. I'm not sure what else I can say about this because we only watched the first 3 episodes, but I think we covered enough of it.
I don't know. You want to watch another episode?
Yeah, sure. Why not? You want to watch another episode, and then we'll pick this up?
No, let's just watch another episode.
All right, fine.
And you guys can see how we rate this, later on down the line. I mean, right now for me, I think that it's got a solid 7. I think we've got room to improve, and I'm hoping that in the next couple episodes that I'm raising my 7 to an 8.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go down from a 7.
No.
Unless it
somehow jumps the shark.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the pacing of it feels like the first season of Futurama. It's not like the first season of The Simpsons, because the first season of The Simpsons is just a train wreck.
It is for the
It's
most
a train wreck.
Because you know what it is. You know what it is actually with this. Here's the thing, and this is the number one thing I feel that Matt Groening learned from The Simpsons is that the very first season of The Simpsons, and this is going to sound weird because I'm talking about a show that was supposed to be a comedy, but because it's a cartoon, they played it straight. So in other words, it had much more of the way those scripts were structured in the first season, you could have just as easily thrown that into given that to live action actors. You could have given that to a live act. It wasn't until the second or maybe even the third season when they started.
Third season's when it started really jamming.
Yeah, third season's when it started jamming, but that's also when they kind of sort of started really taking advantage of the fact that this is a cartoon. We're going to have Homer Simpson fall off the side of a cliff 3 times in one episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of...
You can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go out for frosty chocolate milkshakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or the Aurora Borealis. Same episode I was just talking about. The Aurora Borealis.
Yeah.
Steamed hams.
Steamed hams.
Yes.
Oh, God. I love that so much.
I love how that's become a meme out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The steamed hams.
Steamed hams.
Just because we've all had to lie our way through a situation that it's somehow worked.
Right.
It's man, your persuasion is just off the charts.
Right.
You just, somehow...
Steamed hams.
You just put all of your stat points into luck.
Right. By the way, I'm waiting for the D&D reference in this episode, in this TV show.
It's the whole thing's a D&D reference.
That is true. The
whole thing's a goddamn D&D reference.
True. That is very, very true.
Yeah.
That is very, very true. For me personally, on my rating system, I think I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than you. I actually think I'm going to go as far as to actually say give it an 8, because in my personal experience, what I'm seeing is kind of like what you're saying. I'm getting used to what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it just feels like every episode is getting better and better. I remember the first episode.
I will say, I agree with you there. The first episode I watched, and I was kind of I was also really hungry and waiting for my food.
That is true.
And I was kind of all right, in the words of Monty Python, the Holy Grail, get on with it.
Yeah.
And we just spent so long on the setup. And then, the second episode, which was a longer episode, it was 36 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and then in the second episode, I was okay, we've got to pace. The second episode I liked the best thus far. The third episode I liked as far as the format. The plot line I thought was, lacking for me. I didn't dig on the story. But I feel fundamentally it is getting better as we progress through the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because I think the humor is starting to pick up. It's just like when you write any kind of TV show or whatever. The first episode,
you gotta find your groove.
You gotta find your groove. I mean, you gotta start identifying who and what these characters are and what they're about and everything.
I totally expect my rating to go from a 7 to an 8. However, I leave myself a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah, that is
keep
fair.
It at a 7.
Oh yeah, no, that is very fair.
Because very much like the first season of Futurama.
That was a pretty slow season, to be fair.
It was passable.
Yeah.
It still surprises me, and it is a little dated now when you go back and look at it.
Oh, yeah.
It surprises me that, Futurama got a second season. Because the first season really isn't that good.
Yeah.
Compared to what Simpsons were doing at the same time.
In their career? Or
in that time period of when, the first season of Futurama aired.
Oh, yeah.
The Simpsons were still in their golden years.
Yeah, exactly.
This was, about...
98, 99?
Yeah, I was going to say, this was 20 years ago. So, yeah, Simpsons were very much like
in their peak,
in their prime.
I think by the time Futurama came around, though, they were starting. They were in the back nine of that, though.
But still, and you could see why like Futurama got another season was because like it was following up The Simpsons, and The Simpsons was still riding that wave so high.
Yeah, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 8 o'clock Simpsons, 8:30 Futurama kind of a thing.
Sure it was.
Yeah, and of course, you, me, and everybody else who grew up loving The Simpsons was like, Matt Groening's making another TV show? Let's watch this. I'm sure it's going to be hilarious. And you laugh at it anyway because it's the guy who created The Simpsons. How could he go wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, I think it's starting off well. I think there's room for improvement. I'm looking forward to what they're going to do next.
Same here. I guess that will do it for us. This podcast was kind of short, but then again, we didn't really watch all of it. Maybe what we can do is at some point we'll just briefly have a...
We'll add like an amendment. An amendment.
Amendment, yes.
An amendment.
An addendum.
An addendum.
An addendum for an amendment.
I combined the both through Budweiser, and it came out an amendment.
Budweiser, fixing the English language. Now sponsor me.
Budweiser, nothing will ever be as good as Mr. Plow. Nothing.
Because I'm Mr. Plow. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow.
Who shot Mr. Burns? It was Maggie. That is actually one of like the best 2-part episodes
of television ever. Let's put a pin in this. Maybe we can go back one day and just reminisce about how great The Simpsons were. I'm down for that. All right, we'll do that. In the meantime, everybody, so going back, Dan, just give it. It was real quick. So far, the first 3 episodes of Disenchantment.
I like it. Yeah,
you're giving it a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm actually gonna go an 8. So, all right. But again, I am with you.
Using round numbers, or were you using like decimal points?
We can use decimal points if you want.
No, I'm good at a 7.
Yeah, okay. But I am with you, though. I am taking it with a grain of salt and a little bit of skepticism.
It's gotta find its sea legs.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, to be fair, I don't necessarily see my rating going any higher than an 8, though, or much higher than an 8. Like,
yeah,
it's not going to hit a 10. I'm going to put it to you that way. It's not going to hit a 10.
Yeah, no, I that I agree with. Like,
yeah.
Like, if we're talking about, and again, because I personally prefer Futurama over The Simpsons, and
we could have this debate.
Oh yeah, and I would I would probably arguably and fairly lose, but I would still hold my ground.
Well, for me, here's my thing. I might prefer The Simpsons over Futurama, but it's only by like a hair. To be quite honest with you. Yeah, me personally. I'm more into the sci-fi elements that Futurama. I agree. I totally like that too. But for me, I've always enjoyed satire. So and I always felt like the Simpsons satire was a little bit more accurate. Yeah. Yeah. But it's whatever. So that's gonna do it for us, I guess. This episode. Bender.
Aw, that was the swellest infinite amount of guys that I ever met.
Right. So, real quick, before we get going, just got to plug this real quick. Everybody, I am going to be at the Van Nuys Comedy Club on Victory Boulevard in Van Nuys, California.
There's only one road in Van Nuys.
That is very true. I feel like Van Nuys is more like, fine, I'll start my own North Hollywood. With blackjack and hookers. So, on Wednesday, August 27th, just a quick plug, I will be at the Van Nuys Comedy Club in Van Nuys, California. That's going to be on Victory Boulevard. It's starting at 9 p.m. Admission is free, but you got to buy 2 drinks.
If you don't know where Van Nuys is, just start out in Hollywood and keep going until you lose all hope.
Right, exactly. And
I can't help myself with the Van Nuys jokes. Van Nuys is really nice. I got nothing against Van Nuys.
Neither do I, but we would just rag on any city, no matter what it is.
I mean, you know.
Except for, like, maybe Seattle. It kind of rains a lot.
They got the whole gum wall. I think that's gross.
Okay, I have not heard of this gum wall.
Yeah, it's gross.
At any rate, so, and then after that, on July 28th, I will be performing at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. So, and that's going to be at 7:30. I'll leave information for both shows down below. And as always, check us out. Follow me on Kyle Daley Comedy, both Twitter and Instagram. Dan? I don't care if you follow me or not. All right, there we go. Good enough. Finger guns. Bam, bam. That's not how I validate myself as a person. Woohoo! Woo!
Give him the Ric Flair woo.
Woo. All right, so that's going to do it for us, guys. We'll probably just add an amendment.
Amendum. Mr. Plow.
We'll probably add an amendum to one of our podcasts later, just to give the final review of what we think about the show. But the first 3 episodes have been solid, so
yeah,
we're enjoying it. We're probably actually gonna just stop doing this, and then we're gonna watch another episode. So that's gonna do it for us, everybody. Thank you for listening. Bye, and thank you for being here, Dan.
Yeah.
Bye. Hey everyone, this is Kyle here, just using my internal microphone real quick on my laptop because I didn't feel like setting up my microphone to make this quick announcement. The show is actually in Van Nuys on the 22nd at the Van Nuys Comedy Club at the Springbok, which is on 16153 Victory Boulevard in Van Nuys. It shows at 9 p.m. on the 22nd, not the 27th. Sorry about that. So if you could come out and support me for that show, that'd be great. Thanks very much, everyone.